This is Exodus 1, verses 16 and 17. And he said, when ye do the service of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then shall she live. But the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Kal halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Okwakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the brothers on down, teaching and pushing this word of truth, this gospel, good news across the four corners of the earth. And greetings also to the few sisters that tune in to these video epistles. I've called this lesson Attempted Genocide of the Royal Seed. See, what we're about to face is not actually new. And so I had a look briefly at this word genocide. See if we find a definition here. Yes, the systematic and widespread extermination or attempted extermination of a national, racial, religious, or ethnic group. See, it's not a coincidence. This is a deliberate attempt. And so this all happened before. It's part of the envy, the jealousy of this particular royal seed. So I want to look at a few scriptures here. It's not exhaustive, just picked out a few. And let's go back to Exodus 1. Let's look at how we arrived at this position here. Verse 9 and 10, I think. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Verse 12, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Verse 13, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. It really put us under some pressure. Hard bondage. Let's jump to 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Might as well keep reading. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Most High, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. So this is a repeated pattern. And the scripture tells us is in Ecclesiastes, I think it's 1 and 9, there's nothing new under the sun. Genesis 4 and 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and what did he do? He slew him. This is murder. Why? Because he recognized he himself is of that wicked one. And Abel was of the righteous, the royal bloodline. It's an attempt to wipe us out. Us, well, we are the children of the Most High, the Hebrew Israelites, much to the annoyance, irritation of this current rulership. We've woken up to who we are, our true biblical national identity. You can call us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The great speckled bird. It's not a color thing. It's a blood. It's that seed line. We know who you are, that wicked one, the Edomite, the so-called white man currently in rulership. His blood floweth forth through his skin. There's no color there. The melanin has been removed. He's of a leprous appearance. So we keep going here as I fight off these mosquitoes trying to join in. See, let's go to, I don't want too much commentary from me. Let's keep moving. Matthew 13, no, it's not Matthew 2, 13 to 16. Where is that? Let's see. Yes. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord Yahweh appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. See, we're moving from one wicked seed to the next. So it's the serpent seed, the wicked, the spiritual demon into Cain. He again in Pharaoh. And now we see a repeated pattern here in Herod. Let's read on. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. This is Yahweh Shai they're speaking about. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem. This is the attempted genocide of royalty. And in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So this is a repeated pattern. And it's the same thing with iconoclasm in a different way. Icon being the famous people, those of old, and clasm, well, that's to deface, to do away with. So since the Renaissance, around about 13th, 14th century, when these Edomites, so-called white men, came back into power, the rebirth, that's what Renaissance means, he attempted the same thing, to remove all notion, smashed up as much as he can, destroyed as much as he could of what was before him. All the civilizations, he said, those don't exist. All those were not real humans. Those were not people. Their breasts were swinging, their private parts, everything was out, and these are not people. Is it 2/3, 2/5, or whatever it is of a man? So we can just take everything, destroy all that was before us, and then claim Alexander the Great as the beginning of civilization. And there was nothing before him. So such is the nonsense that they have peddled. And 2/3 of our people, at least in the land of Babylon the Great, which is America, have joined themselves on to the madness that this man has preached. And so they are forwarding this attempted genocide of the royal seed for a new doctrine. So we're going to keep moving here, because Job 9:24 tells us the earth is given into this man's hand. He's known as the wicked in Malachi 1:4. So let's see some more of this repeated pattern here. As we're going to go to Maccabees. And where are we first? Maccabees 1:41 to 50, I think. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festive days, and pollute the sanctuary, and holy people, set up altars, and groves, and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh, and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law, and change all the ordinances. And hear this, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, what did he say? He said he should die. You see? Let's jump to 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, that's to say they ripped them up, they tore them up. All of the Bibles is the books of the law which they found. They burnt them with fire. And wheresoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment, what was it? Was that they should be put to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. They were going around like madmen, killing our brothers and sisters. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was very great wrath in Israel. These people are a wicked people. You see, let's stay in Maccabees. I think we're going to go to 2nd Maccabees 6. But in 1st Maccabees, I think there was one more here we could get. 1st Maccabees, I think is 3. 3 and 48. Yes, they well, started 47. Then they fasted that day, and put on sackcloth, and cast ashes upon their heads, and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. You see, so this is a systematic attempt to do away with what was and create something new. Let's go to 2nd Maccabees 6 and read from 7 to 11. And in the day of the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. That's to force the Jews. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession. They marched them up to Bacchus, carrying ivy. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor city of the heathen, or cities of the heathen, by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles, what's going to happen to them? They should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. For there were 2 women brought, who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led run about the city, the babes hanging at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to themselves to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Verse 12 says, Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishment not to be for destruction, but for the chastening of our nation. I'm going to hold it there. This is all quite distressing to read. It gets under your skin and vexes your spirit. The wickedness of these people. And to think so many of us, as we did before, have joined ourselves onto their form of madness. They're strutting around with our Bibles. It's got nothing to do with them. It's our book. And they claim they can interpret what's in the book. And then they regurgitate their foolishness and give it to you as your doctrine. And you must accept it. Or else be put to death. See, this is a violent man. He's been given the sword for his blessing. His pineal gland, referred to as his third eye, is calcified. He has no spiritual connection to the Most High. He is wicked, referred to in the scriptures as the wicked, the people of the Most High's curse. And so they're heading for their final push to join us on to their madness with this subdermal device referred to in Revelations 13, 16, and 17. One final push to get the children of Israel joined on to them with their God complex, wanting to remove our power and put themselves in the place of our God. So we won't stretch the lesson beyond where it needs to be. You've been listening to the attempted genocide of the royal seed. Shalom until the next one.